Working on lap 42 here at Watkins Glen, but more importantly, some 38 minutes remaining in the race. You can see right there your leader, that is Tremblay in the cockpit. He has yet to check out. So as we take a look at the top 8 right now, Stewart rides about 7/10 of a second back in second, and it's now number 20 car of Peter Cunningham 2 seconds back there in third. So once again, your leader, the battle's up in front, and he's not checking out.
No, it's real close still, and you know, he just can't seem to pull away probably as much as he'd like. We keep you know, running into some traffic situations as well.
The traffic we've not had earlier because of all the yellow. Now we have.
We're getting this lapping deal taking place, and that slows you up sometimes when you get into it. You know, two cars can't occupy the same space at the same time, so it means you got to sometimes follow a car through a corner and end up sacrificing some speed onto the straight. Knowing how to get through traffic is a real skill, and some people are a master of it.
It's interesting to watch you guys here watching the action, because when you're in the race car, the track ends the back of your seat, basically, unless you're in one of the slower classes you have to watch the mirrors. When you're up here watching the monitors, watching the track action, you're watching action all over. So you're seeing a lot that obviously you never see in the race car.
Interesting little telltale sign there. We saw Sylvain Tremblay leaving turn 11 there, and as he was going down the main straightaway, saw the brake lights flash on 3 times, which means he's pumping up that brake pedal, which means he may be having some type of braking problem. And we saw him pull out a little bit on Lance Stewart earlier, and now Lance seems to be closing that gap up just a little bit. So it's possible that Tremblay has maybe run a little bit harder than he should be, and maybe he's having some type of braking problem.
Yeah, I think that's it, Jeremy. They're running real hard, and you know, that's going to start using the brakes up. You wouldn't think, because we've had so few laps under green, that it would be an issue, but as hard as they are running, you know, obviously it's becoming a problem.
So still about 35 minutes to go. A lot of questions yet to be answered. Let's go back to the pit lane and Greg Creamer.
Well, Gary, the gentleman who, of course, drove the number 20 Steed Autosports Mustang early on, maybe had the easier part of the day, is Sean Hendricks. And Sean, we talked earlier, you said the brakes were great, fuel should be fine. Looks like Peter's closing in a little bit. Has he got the old PD hunch going?
I don't know. It seems like when we're in traffic, we're able to close on some, but when we get a clear lap, the Mazda seems to pull away from us a little bit. I don't know if the Mazda can run the rest of the way that hard or not. I know we can, so hopefully Peter will be able to chase him down.
Why is that? What makes the Mazda so good on its own and the Mustang so much more effective in traffic right now?
When the Mazda has got the wick turned up like this, he can probably only run like an hour on a tank of gas. We took the green with like an hour and 4 to go. So if we go green the whole way, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that pace or not. And in traffic, I'm sure he's just being a little more careful than what PD is right now, chasing him down.
And keep in mind, we were talking about that Mazda. We're seeing some brake lights flash, and he may have to be pumping them. And Sean says the Mustang's strong in that department.
Interesting, if you're playing poker, you can read the guy's poker face. When you're in the race car, you can't read their strategy. You don't know what they have, how the car is handling, if the brakes are going away, or if they have the fuel to go the distance.
Well, if I'm Lance Stewart and I'm in that car 7 and I'm following the leader and I see those brake lights flash on in the middle of the straightaway, I'm loving that. You know, that's a good telltale sign that there's a potential problem there. It doesn't mean he has any kind of serious problem, but it means that he is definitely not, he doesn't have total confidence in that brake pedal, and that's really important when you're running this hard.
Lance also has to be aware that not too far behind him in third position is Peter Cunningham.
Peter's a real tough customer out here. Again, a lot of experience in these types of cars. You know, he's going to keep the pressure on, and you know, as Jeremy was saying about the you know, tapping of the brake there to pump him up before you get into the turns. Yes, you definitely want to stay right there on him and to keep pushing him hard to perhaps force the issue where he has to continue to use his brakes hard and ends up with a problem. So, you know, it's
Danny, they're saying no problem.
You saw a lap car between first and second. That lap car is down between second and third as you're riding right along with Tremblay in the lead. He's working on lap 44, but again, this is a time race, so the laps are incidental. And let's go back to the pit lane. Calvin?
I just checked with the crew chief on Sylvain Tremblay's car, and he said there's absolutely no problems with the brakes. It's an operation that they use at this stage of the race just to pump the pedal up a little bit and give him a firm pedal when he actually gets down into the corners. But the driver has reported no problems. He seems as if they're on the way to checkered flag.
Well, we mentioned that Tremblay's only championship win came April 20th at Road Atlanta, co-driving with Joe Vardy. But he has demonstrated he is very fast in qualifying. Third straight race where he has started from the pole position, or at least his team has. He lets Joe Vardy start the race.
Well, I think everyone's in agreement. These RX-7s are very, very quick cars. And we know that they have a disadvantage in terms of fuel capacity and fuel mileage. And that's what would hurt them if this race had been green from start to finish. But of course, under the circumstances, the team did the right thing strategy-wise. Now we've got two RX-7s in the lead.
Of course, you also heard Sean Hendricks say that they took this green with about an hour and 5 minutes to go. And consequently, they're not sure if this number 70 Mazda can go that long without taking on a splash of fuel. Only time will tell. We have another 35 minutes of racing to go here at Watkins Glen.
Go ahead. Make my day.
What? He's tough, intense, relentless.
Stop!
Clint Eastwood. In movie after movie, he takes the law into his own very capable hands. And now you can watch his best movies anytime you want with time-lapse videos totally uncut, completely unedited Clint Eastwood collection. It's classic Clint, hard as flint.
What did you say?
I said stick it in your...
You're a walking combat zone. People have a nasty habit of getting dead around you.
Man's got to know his limitations.
Call this number now for your first video. Eastwood's Oscar-winning masterpiece, Unforgiven. The special price is only $9.99.
I killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, little Bill.
And if you order by credit card right now, we'll send you the ultimate bonus video, Dirty Harry, absolutely free. Get the best of Eastwood's entire career, from its spaghetti western beginnings through Harry Callahan to his current directorial triumphs. A new video about every month and no club to join. Call right now and get it the easy way. He got it the hard way.
I think I love you.
There's nothing wrong with that.
With all due respect, sir, you're beginning to bore the hell out of me.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky?
Well, do you, punk?
Remember, your collection starts with Unforgiven, specially priced. And you get Dirty Harry free when you use your credit card.
Marvelous.
To order your Clint Eastwood Unforgiven video, call 1-800-469-2100. That's 1-800-469-2100. Use your credit card and receive Dirty Harry free. Or send $9.99 plus $3.49 shipping and handling to Clint Eastwood, Department 3, Richmond, Virginia, 23280.
Some 26 minutes remaining now as the race continues here for the IMSA Endurance Championship. And interesting development now near the front of the pack because you have team drivers up there. One is leading and one is a lap back.
Yeah, and it looks like those top three cars were able to slice through that 71 car, which was the team car, to this leading car that Sylvain Tremblay is driving. And you can see now there's our front three cars all in the same shot. And
here comes the 71 car. So yeah, I thought maybe he would play a good teammate and block a little bit, but that was not the situation.
Right, you could do that. I mean, that's not really sometimes the sporting thing to do. You know, maybe it was the last lap of the race, or I don't know. It's really hard to say, you know, what's the right thing or what's the right move there. But everyone else did get around him, so we have a good three-car battle going on here.
Tremblay continues to lead. Lance Stewart, you got a glimpse of Lance in that number 7 car, and there's the number 20, Peter Cunningham, back there in third. That is the car that won the last outing the first weekend of May at Texas World Speedway. And of course, the car that leads won back in April at Road Atlanta. So your last two race winners are running 1 and 3, and stuck right in the middle in second position is Lance Stewart.
But we really should emphasize that a lot of this has to do with the fact that we've run so much of the yellow here, and the pit strategy and fuel strategies have really changed for a lot of these teams. And that's why we see most of the Firebirds, which are very competitive cars, further back in this field.
In fact, our first Firebird is back in the 5th position with John Heimersey, and probably about 25 seconds back. So the top three cars have really pulled away here.
In fourth position is Nick Ham in 0-1. Now he's lost contact with the leaders. At one point, he was only about 9 seconds back there in fourth. Now he's dropped back to some almost 17 seconds back. So he's lost contact with the front three. But the front three certainly have not lost contact with each other.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about how hard these guys are driving. You know, they're really matching each other in terms of lap times and pace. And it'll be interesting to see if any one of them bobbles a little bit, makes a mistake, because they're really driving on the limit, and also what happens in traffic.
Not to mention the fuel situation. There's still,
fuel, tires, and brakes.
Exactly. You still may have to conserve a little bit here at the end. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Mazda. We've heard from the Mustang pits there that there's absolutely no problem at all there. But still some question regarding the Mazdas.
But you have a situation that has developed over the past probably 15 or 20 minutes that we didn't have early in the race. If you take a look at the leader of the touring class, that is John Green. John took over, did not start the car, but John now has the lead and is out in front in car 38 in the touring class. We have the traffic to contend with now that we did not have early on because the early 5 full course yellows kept the pack bunched up. But now the leaders, besides worn tires and how much fuel we have left, how are the brakes, they're still negotiating heavy traffic.
Well, you know, I tell you, the thing that's interesting is that sometimes it's easier for the faster cars to get through the traffic. They have the power to get out around them. When you're driving in one of the touring class cars or a compact class car, you really have got to try to be as efficient as you can. You don't have the power to get past the slower cars down the straights. And what's kind of interesting is sometimes you may have to be out there on the track and have to deal with a car in a faster category. Let's say a sports class car and you're in a touring class car, and you can't get by the sports class car on the straights, but he slows you up in the corner. So that's aggravating at times.
So you're saying the touring class cars, the compact cars, are really doing their passing entering the corner because they really can't overhaul somebody because of horsepower. Overall leader, once again, Tremblay, the number 70. And let's go down trackside to Calvin Fish.
Okay, I'm here in the Tremblay Vade pit, and some concerned faces right now. They were hoping for another yellow. Remember, we discussed an hour and a quarter to go that it was a little early to go all the way, and some discussion about how far these Mazdas can go. And obviously now they're looking at that they may be 1 or 2 laps short on fuel. If they are short in the number 70, then certainly the number 7 is going to have problems because they pitted before the number 70. The number 20 could be in good shape at the end of this one if it continues to go green. Up to the pit lane, and Greg.
Well, Cal, exactly what you were alluding to, that fuel problem perhaps for the Mazdas. I'm with Rick Fairbanks, who started the 0-1 BMW M3, currently up to 4th. You've got kind of counting on, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. The Mazda has about a 1-hour fuel window. We've been green. If it goes green the rest of the race, it'll be about an hour and 5 minutes, so it's going to be close for them. It's going to be tough for us to win, though, because the Mustangs run a little bit longer than us, so it's going to be tough for us to get by Petey. But we're hoping the Mazda still have to come in for a splash and dash.
Obviously, by what you're saying, you don't think you do.
Well, like I said, we're going to see. We're still in there. Nick's pedaling real hard right now.
Started in 7th, up to 4th, looking for more.
So with the radios that these drivers are in contact with their crews, they're being told, hey, we don't think the guy up in front can go the distance. This is one advantage they have over the old pit board signs when they had no idea really what communications were coming from the pit lane.
You know, pit boards are kind of a thing of the past. You do keep one there in the pits as a backup just in case the radios were to go down. But yes, they're definitely going to relay that information back to Nick, and I'm sure he's well aware by now that you know, the Mazdas may have a fuel problem and have to come in again. But that Mustang with Peter Cunningham is going to be an issue. They are running very strong, and certainly if the Mazdas come in, they're going to have a pretty good lead over Nick Ham.
But what's the strategy? If you're in the cockpit of the number 20 Mustang, do you think, well, I'll ride right here in third on the rear bumper of Lance Stewart and see if these guys pit and wait till the last 10 minutes and make my move? Or do I go ahead and make my move now?
Well, what I would do is keep pressuring them, and knowing that they'd have to come in, keep the pressure on them, and that way they're going to have to keep burning up fuel.
Number 3 showing a lot of smoke.
That's David Murray, I believe.
David Murray is in that car. I think Cochran started the race, but Dave Murray's in the car right now, but showing lots of smoke from that Pontiac.
So it smokes as he gets into the turns. Yeah. That's a problem with these cars occasionally. The liver axles that they have in them just have been a reliability problem over the years. They've really done a lot to try to alleviate that, but as you can see here today, David Murray in the number 3 Pontiac is having that problem.
But how disconcerting when you pull up behind a guy and see all that smoke coming off the rear deck as you enter a corner, not knowing if it's oil, it's going to spin him out and take you with it.
Well, that's right, and he's putting a lot out there. He's certainly sharing a lot of
right there as well.
mosquitoes out there today.
That's a battle for 6th position.
Yeah, and as we understand it, this is a problem with the oil seal on the rear end. So that rear end is puking oil out onto that left rear, and you can see David had a big slide there caused by that oil. And of course, eventually that oil is going to disappear. And once that oil's gone, that rear end is going to lock up, or something.
The rear is going to be gone too.
Sure, something big is going to happen. So it's only a matter of time for this car. It may be running okay now, but if David doesn't spin on his own oil, certainly something will go wrong with that rear end.
Nick Goat is that number 2 car right now, so it'll be advantageous for him to get around as soon as he could in case that rear end does lock up and take out both race cars.
That's absolutely right. And, in the longer races, what they will do, look at these guys just going at it, using all the road there. Longer races, what these teams will do is have a complete rear end assembly set up there in the pit lane. And what would happen is David would be coming in, and they change that whole rear end assembly in about 3 to 5 minutes. It's absolutely amazing to watch it done. They have quick release brake lines and really have practiced this over and over again because it's a problem.
Well, still a big question mark right there. How long that rear end will last before it goes away without oil. So we'll find out as you take a look at the top 4 here.
Lights at night, the grave digger's delight. Now, from Demented Minds, straight to your home VCR, the most awesome monster truck of them all, Grave Digger. Grave Digger the video brings monster truck thrills into your living room. See Grave Digger smashing, turning piles of cars into piles of pancakes. You'll go inside, you'll go underneath, you'll meet the men who built the ultimate machine. Grave Digger, the video.
You're in trouble.
Get your credit card ready, because when it's your time to go, it is your time. The ultimate home monster truck video. Grave Digger, the video.
Use your credit card and order Grave Digger the video, only $19.95 plus shipping. Call 1-800-480-5600 before it's too late. Don't miss this special monster truck offer. Call 1-800-480-5600 before it's too late.
With less than 15 minutes remaining here at the Glen, it looks like your 5th place runner, John Heinrichsey, may be in trouble. Showing lots of smoke.
Yes, not sure if that's a rear end seal like David Murray has failing, but either way, it could spell trouble for John Heinrichsey.
His first win came here at the Glen in 1987 in a 24-hour event. This, by comparison, just a short sprint, but we're not sure he's going to make it to the finish.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, John Heinrichsey, you see all the oil on the back of that car. I don't think that's that rear end. It looks like something pretty serious. Not that the rear end isn't serious, but
now the other car that we saw smoking, the team car, the 3 car that was in 6th position, was smoking from the rear end.
Yeah, yes. Clearly from the left rear, but this looks more like it's from the motor. It's coming out under the center of the car, and this is a problem for John because he is our points leader, and you would think that these cars in a 3-hour race, it wouldn't be a big deal because they're used to these long races, but. And we mentioned, John is not the kind of guy who's going to put a wheel wrong, but he can't control every aspect of this car in terms of mechanical preparation and problems that they might have. So. And
Murray, that we saw smoking earlier from that rear seal, he's been dropping off the pace. He's back to 14th position. But once again, we take a look at your leader. That is Sylvain Tremblay, and the question still persists: can that Mazda go the distance without stopping? We have Mazdas running 1, 2. We have a Mustang back in 3rd. So right now, Peter Cunningham aboard that number 20 Mustang is kind of hoping first and second half to stop.
Well, it certainly is, and time's only going to tell here if these guys are going to be able to stretch it out and make the distance, or they're going to have to come in for a quick splash, and obviously that's going to relegate them to
a out of contention. Well, there's the 3-car. Finally, he has pulled off. David Murray was smoking earlier. We were concerned that that rear end might seize up. He lost a rear seal. He has pulled off. He dropped back to some 14th position. So obviously, probably a wise move on his part.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we knew it was only a matter of time. You know, with 15 minutes and losing oil at the rate that rear axle was, so we knew he was not going to make it to the end. You know, better for him that the rear axle didn't lock up. You can see Lance Stewart coming through traffic there. Lance has been having a tougher time with the traffic. Sylvain seems to be hitting the brakes, you know, through traffic better, and Lance seems to be having a tougher time.
And that's a bit of racing luck, as you drivers would say. I'd rather be lucky than good. You hit the traffic right at the right spot, got to look back out to go on by. So, hey, we're set up for a great sprint race to the finish. Stay with us.
It's a battle of man against machine and driver against driver. But in the end, it's an all-out war against the starting line and the finish line. Feel drag racing spill, chills and fury in Diamond P Sports Chasing the Lights. A look at the competition and competitors who brave a quarter-mile of pavement in the pursuit of winning. Chasing the Lights takes you higher and faster than you've ever been. Experience the action for just $19.95. To order, call 1-800-651-8989 or write to the address on your screen. Watch it once and you'll know why they call it Chasing the Lights.
There is a place pilots talk about, but few have ever been. It's a place where training, aircraft design, indeed a pilot's ability to stay cool, are put to the absolute test. Presenting the Challenge of Flight, an exclusive new series that takes you where no aviation videos have ever gone before. Start with Final Approach. Be there when it all goes wrong, when raw power, fear, and the ejection seat is all the pilot has left. In incredible detail and first-hand accounts, you'll see what happens low and slow over a pitching carrier deck. Gear up with nowhere to go, and in the bunker when you test how bad it can be. Be an eyewitness to history as you watch exclusive footage declassified and released here for the very first time. Order your copy of Final Approach and go where few pilots have ever been before.
Call now to order a special preview video of the entire Challenge of Flight series for only $5 and get these aviator sunglasses free. Call now.
He's drag racing's king of speed, Kenny Bernstein. Follow his quest to go faster than ever in Diamond P Sports, the king of speed. From funny car to top fuel, NASCAR to the Indy circuit, Bernstein's dominance is legendary. The first dragster over 300 miles per hour, and one of the luckiest to walk away from some of racing's wildest moments. Experience the speed for just $19.95. To order, call 1-800-704-1133 or write to the address on your screen. Find out why they call Kenny Bernstein the king of speed.
Back at Watkins Glen, it's a full course yellow because your leader in the touring class, John Green, has crashed. That will bring out a early checkered flag. Will end this race about 7 minutes early. But for John Green, that broke a string of no DNFs since 1990, 45 races. Looks like the wheel may have come off before he made contact.
Really hard to tell what happened there.
There's a checkered flag as Tremblay waving with both hands from the cockpit. So the question we had became a moot subject. Could he go the distance?
That was the big question. Were the Mazdas going to be able to make the distance?
And there's a look at Joe Vardy. Congratulates the crew as he picks up his 23rd win overall, his second of the season. And so the Mazdas finish 1-2. Lance Stewart goes in the second. And there is third place, Peter Cunningham. So doggone it, we had a lot of questions we were going to answer, and we didn't get them answered.
Well, it was fixing for a great finish. Unfortunate what happened. We had a very eventful day here as far as cautions were concerned, and that really played into the outcome of the race, obviously.
Well, of course, once the course went yellow, that would have taken care of any need to stop for a splash and go, and they said, hey, we're not going to run the last 6 or 7 minutes of the yellow. Let's just throw the checkered flags and stop it right there.
And
so,
of course, you know, those guys had said, you know, as Joe Vardy said when we interviewed him, they were expecting another yellow and hoping for another yellow. And, you know, we ran about an hour there under green, just about 1 hour, and finally we got a yellow. So it's not unexpected.
Well, another problem right there, another car off the track.
That looks like one of Lance Stewart's team cars right there.
77 car, heavy damage on the rear. So when did that happen? Robert Baxter, or Brad, I think Brad Krieger was in the car at that particular point. Oh, my. Well, let's go down to Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Okay, I'm here with Joe's. Sylvain brought it home for you. Obviously a little tight on fill. This yellow flag, caution period at the end, probably saved you bacon there.
Yeah, we were going to make it within a lap, and that yellow flag just helped us out. So thank God and everybody that helped us, and the team's great, and we had a great time.
You have got to be doing great in the points now. That's 2 victories this season. That puts you right at the top there.
Yeah, I think I still may be a little shy right now. It depends on where John Heinrichs finishes, but I'm happy with it.
Great job by Joe Vardy and Sylvain Tremblay.
Yeah, and for Joe, his 23rd victory, which moves him up into a 3-way tie for second on the all-time win list with John Green and Paul Hacker. Of course, Terry Irwood has 26. We'll come back and visit with our victors after this. Welcome back to Watkins Glen. Once again, overall victory goes to number 70, Tremblay and Vardy. As we'll show you the top 20. In fact, the first 19, first 18 were all the Grand Sport Division cars, which is as expected.
Absolutely. Those are the fastest cars, and, in a short race like this, they're definitely going to be up front.
And you can see a good mix of different makes of cars. A real mix here between BMW, Porsche, Ford, Mazda, and of course the Toyota winning the sports class in 19th position.
Well, let's go to Victory Lane and Greg Creamer.
Thank you very much, Gary. And boy, I'll tell you, these guys put in a heck of a drive. You've always been fast, Sylvain. You got a little bit of luck today. 2 out of the last 3. Got to be thrilled.
We're just so excited. I mean, it's finally coming together. And Joe said that, we'll spray champagne and to look towards the goal. And here we are. Can't believe it. I want to thank Mazda and everybody who supported me, Bob Tarry, and the Speed Source crew, my crew chief David Haskell, my girlfriend Carol. It's a dream come true once again. I just want to keep doing this. I just can't believe it. It doesn't get any better.
Well, again, absolutely great result for you two. And, of course, there's a lot of happy winners here, and Calvin is standing by with a couple others.
Well, I'm here with the winners of the sports class, Eric Van Cleef and Bob Henderson. Bob, I understand you started racing here at the Glen in 1963, probably got more miles than anyone, and it certainly paid off today.
You bet. Yeah, it's been a long time winning a pro race here, but we did it today.
Okay, well, a great drive, great help from Eric Van Cleef. He did the last stint there, and the Toyota Supra brings it home for victory in the sports class. Up to the booth and Gary.
So once again, gentlemen, we had a great race once we had a chance to go racing. Unfortunately, we had some questions that never got answered because of that late yellow, which then produced the early checkered flag.
Yeah, and that really was a 3-hour race that became a 1-hour sprint race, and that's as close as you'll get to a sprint race with these cars.
Well, sometimes that's what they say, that's racing, and sure, we would have liked to seen 3 hours of green racing. That would have been something, but you got to take what you can get sometimes.
And of course, John Green lost that long streak of no DNFs after 45 races. Had a wheel come off, clouded the outside retaining wall, so his race ended early. But once again, a great drive for Sylvain Tremblay and his co-driver Joe Vardy as they take the victory, the second of the season, and puts them right up in the points chase for the overall championship. So that will wrap it up from the Glen for Jeremy Dale, Greg Creamer, Calvin Fish, and Jeff Perner. I'm Gary Lee. We thank you for joining us. So long from Watkins Glen.